Welcome back to Decks Out the Vault. I've got another deck out the vault for you to check out. This deck right here is phenomenal. It's green and it's got elves. Everybody loves elves. They're fast, they make mana, and they're a fan favorite. I am no exception to liking elves since green is my favorite color. And before I go any further, I just want to show you my cool 20-sided die right here. And it is the second deck out the vault. So put that right there to the side, and I'll go through my 60 card deck right here to show you what I got going on. Put this together quite a while ago. It's got some older cards in it, nothing too expensive. But right here on the top you can see I do have good old Priest of Titania, which looks more like a priestess than a priest. But either way, he or she is badass. 2 for a 1/1. Add 1 green mana to your mana pool for each elf in play. Good lord, this thing kicked ass and it's still badass today. I love this thing. And it was only a common. My goodness, what a great common. One of the best commons ever, if you ask me. Moving on. Got. Oh, and that's a full playset. So everything in this deck, again, full playset. So we got 4 Priest of Titania. We got 4 Timberwatch Elf. This bad boy right here is 3 for a 1/2. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves in play. So, of course, this deck has all elves, and so Timberwatch Elf is really good in using in response to anybody trying to do damage to a creature, like a red deck, or negative effects from a black deck. And so, we're just going to get into the land here. I got a playset of Lawn War Reborn to keep with the theme of elves. It doesn't necessarily do anything for elves in particular, but it is called Lawn War Reborn, so it's in there. It's from Time Spiral and comes into play tapped. It adds a green mana to your mana pool when you tap it, and it's got Graft 1, so when it comes into play you can put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when a creature comes into play you can move the counter from the land onto the creature if you want to. So, it's okay. Moving on. Got 12 Forest here, and I got them from Mirage. I really like these pictures from Mirage. I've always liked the art style. So cool. So we got the same picture right there. We got this one right here. Mirage had really cool forests. Some of the coolest forests. So I'm rocking the Mirage Forest. The waterfall in the background. It's really neat. Really like these. Didn't appreciate them enough when they first came out. I should have got more. But I was just a child. Back in the day. Mirage. That was a long time ago. Moving these cards up here. Moving on. The only other land I have in the deck is Treetop Village. Again, not exactly an elf, but it's in here. And it does come into play tapped. I can add 1 green to my mana pool when I tap it. And for 2 mana, 1 green and 1 generic, I can make this land become a 3/3 green creature with trample until end of turn, which is great. Land creatures are fantastic. I've always been a big fan of them. Ever since Mishra's Factory. Moving on. Got a full playset of Overrun for all my little elves. This 2 generic, 3 green. All creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn, and they get trample. Was always a game over when you would play it back when it first came out in Tempest. Now it's not exactly the powerhouse that it was when it first came out, but it is a timepiece that I think goes perfect in an elf deck. So It's in there. It is the only spell. Wolf Skull Shaman. I got 4 of these bad boys. This is from Morningtide, I believe. And could be wrong. 2 for a 2/2. It's an Elf Shaman. It's got kinship. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it shares a creature type with Wolf Skull Shaman, you may reveal it. If you do, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token into play. So pretty good to get those creatures out there and get creature advantage. And it's only 2 mana, so you get that out there on the second turn. So the funny thing about this deck, I'm going to tell you right now, I have 0 1-drops. For an elf deck, that's kind of weird because there's a lot of 1-drop elf creatures. They are small. But the thing is, I have these lands right here, Treetop Village and Lawnmower Reborn, instead of 1-drop elves. Because, well, my thought is, I want bigger elves. So I have a lot of 2-drops. And it just kind of starts from there. So that's kind of my strategy, is to skip the turn 1-drop. So no Lawnmower Elves, no Elvish Mystic, and or any other elves that cost 1. Right here, I really like this one. Wren's Run Vanquisher. 2 for 3/3. As an additional cost, you need to reveal an elf card or pay an extra 3 mana. And it's got Death Touch. So 2 for 3/3, Death Touch, and it's just got the little prerequisite of paying 3 extra or revealing an elf, which you most probably have in your hand when you play this on the second turn. So this is an excellent card. I love it. Moving on. I got this right here. Fits perfectly into an elf deck. We got Jagged Scar Archers, 3 for star. And its power and toughness is equal to the number of elves you control. You can also tap it to deal damage equal to its power to target creature with flying. So you can deal with any flying creature, since elves typically do not have flying. So I got 4 of these. One of them is foil, so that's why I'm showing you the foil one. Real cool picture. I like that picture. Anyways, moving on. So that can get big if you have a lot of elves in play. We got a creature elf from Future Sight with the weird border. This is 2 right here on the top left. You can see the casting cost for a 2/1. It's got reach and Death Touch. Very simple, very good. Put that right there. Okay. Next we got Heedless One. This is an older one from Onslaught? Yeah, Onslaught. So this is an elf avatar, and it's got trample, costs 4 total, and it also has power, toughness, each equal to the number of elves in play. Which is basically like Jagged Scar Archers, except this is elves in play, and the other one is elves you control. So if your opponent happens to control an elf or 2, that would benefit this particular elf avatar. Heedless One. Next, another 2-drop. This one is really good if you want to gain a bunch of life. Well-Wisher. 2 for a 1/1, but you can tap it to gain 1 life for each elf in play. So that also includes your opponent's elves if they have any, which usually they don't, but either way, you know you're going to have plenty of elves, so this thing can gain you a bunch of life in a hurry and keep you in the game and possibly win you the game by continuing to give you life. And finally, I have what I mean is just not exactly the best card in the deck, but just something to get your elf count bigger. This is 4 for a tribal sorcery. Earlier I said that I only had 1 spell. I guess I lied. This is the second one. It is a tribal sorcery, so this card right here counts as an elf, so you can reveal an elf card. This would be an elf card if you need to reveal an elf card. And it says put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token into play for each elf you control. So it basically doubles the amount of elves you control. Really, really good. I love this card. It's really good. So actually, I was kind of underselling it. It's really actually a good card. So that concludes my elf deck here. As you can see, I got, looks like 5 2-drops and a 3-drop, two 3-drops, and a 4-drop, and got the overrun for 5, and that is the biggest spell the Promenade's for. So a lot of cheap stuff mostly, and you just try to get your stuff out there and hope you don't get board wiped before you can come at them with an overrun. So that's basically the premise of the deck. It's pretty self-explanatory. Elves are really fun to play. I really encourage anybody who's never made an elf deck to give it a try. And this basically concludes my second deck here on Decks Out the Vault. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to be showing in the next episode, but be watching for that. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Maybe another tribal deck. So thanks for watching Decks Out the Vault.